guys, it's your boy Eek Films with another video, and today I'm going to be teaching y'all how to assemble your very own gaming PC. With the release of games like Cyberpunk 2077, you're probably wondering how you can increase your performance so you can play such games, and today I will be going into how to build a custom gaming PC for beginners. Now let's get started. Alright, so before we start going into building the PC, you have to assemble your parts. So probably the first part you're going to want to get is your case. So for this build, I'll be using the UPS large box. It's 8 by 13 inches by 3 inches. It has some international shipping notices on it. You're always going to want to look for that on the case, especially this part that says Warsaw Convention. I heard that's very important. So, and then you're going to have so basically this is a great case. There's great airflow. As you can see, there's a opening so the air can go in and out of it. So yeah, there's not too much about the case, so just leave that to the side for now. Alright, so the next important thing after your case is probably your motherboard. So for a motherboard, the most important thing to look for in a motherboard is basically that it doesn't break. And that's it. So what I went with is the Disk Store Pug. As you can see, it's hard. It doesn't look like it'll break. It also has 360-degree implementation, and it has RGB clearly because of the vividness of the image. So this is, I believe, will be probably one of the best boards you can have in your build at the moment. Alright, so now that you have a motherboard and a case that are great, so now you're going to want to get your processor. There are a lot of different processors, but for my build, I went with the Kinder Joy. As you can see, it runs at 20 gigahertz. I think that's what that means, so that's pretty nice. That's better than most of them on the market right now. And it comes in 2 stages. So as you can see, it also comes with thermal paste applicator, so that's great. You're always going to want to have that nice thermal paste. So put that aside for now, and we'll get to the next part. So naturally, after you have your CPU, you're going to want to get your liquid cooler going, and naturally I would just use water because liquid cooling, expensive, and if you just have a water bottle, you just pour water on it, so it's pretty easy. I went with the Clean Canteen model insulated. As you can see, it's at least B because I don't see any red or green, but I think this will work perfectly for this build and yours too. So at this point in the build, you have most of your parts, but you're missing one thing, or a little more than one thing, but this thing is the RAM. So what you're going to do is get your RAM out, and then, so you actually can specify how much you need. So I'm going to have 64 gigs of RAM, so that's right, times 64. There we go. Now you have 64 gigs of RAM, but it's not RGB yet. So what you're going to want to do is get out your RGB here and make it RGB. Now that you have your RGB RAM, we're ready to get to the next portion of the build. So for your graphics card, as the name implies, it's just a card with some graphics on it. So I'm using a Chick-fil-A gift card, and you see there's 3 sandwiches on it. That means, okay, so you have 6 rows for 3x2, so that means there's 6 gigs of VRAM, and that's pretty nice, and yeah, that's all you need for that. Alright, so now we're going to assemble the PC. So the first step is to get out your motherboard, our nice pug. So now we're going to get our processor out. So the processor is a little special to get together because you have to put thermal paste on it. So then we have to open up the processor, take the thermal paste applicator off, and then take off the wrapping of the processor. Now your processor may need some assembly. There's a lot of little pieces, so you just kind of like put them together, kind of. There we go. There's your processor, and then now it gets kind of hot. It's a snowman. You can't let it get too hot because it's a snowman. So you have your thermal paste applicator, and the thermal paste is in this one. So you open this one up. There it is. Dip it in there, and then grab it and put your thermal paste on the bottom, and then there you go. Your processor has been installed. Alright, so clearly the next step would be to apply your water cooling. So just grab your water cooling and put a little bit on there. There we go. It has now been water cooled. For your power supply, all you really need to do is take some batteries out of a remote or something lying around the house. I mean, they provide power, so you should be fine. I'm not even gonna show that. The second to last step is to install your RAM. So, I mean, there's not too much space on this board, and the case might have some restrictions, so be careful where you place it. I'm just gonna put it right there because it doesn't matter too much. So, as you can see, here's our finished build. As you can see, the RGB is pretty good. Well, the cable management wasn't the best, but you see our RGB RAM, the liquid cooler, everything seems to be in order, and we're running something. So yeah, that was our video on how to make your very own gaming computer. So I hope you enjoyed.